There's another world out there.
I know there is.
Who are you?
This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast.
There are no gunslingers. Not anymore.
Why does the man in black want to destroy the tower?
The tower protects both our worlds. If it falls, hell will be unleashed.
He's like the devil, isn't he?
No, he's worse.
You can't stop what's coming. Death always wins.
Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We are a weekly movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find back episodes at ovpodcast.com, find the blog at obsessiveviewer.com, and you can like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer. And this episode is a special bonus episode all about the Dark Tower trailer that finally was released. Finally.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to dig into that. We're going to talk about the reaction from our Facebook group posters and everything, and we're going to just kind of give our thoughts on the trailer and share our thoughts on our feelings toward the Dark Tower movie that is coming out August 4th. And before we do that, the episode sponsor for this week, of course, is Horror Movie Yearbook from the Midwest Podcast Network. You can find them at HM Yearbook on Twitter and at horrormovieyearbook.com. They're a great horror movie podcast that covers movies based on the year that they were released, and they contextualize them with the current events and the current events and pop culture of the time of their release. It's a lot of fun. Go check them out. Highly recommend it. Yeah, so let's dig right into it. Tiny, how are you doing?
Good. I'm good.
Good. So, so today the Dark Tower trailer finally came out, and I think for those who are just, maybe they found this podcast because they were looking for Dark Tower related stuff. Tiny and I are huge fans of the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, huge fans of Stephen King. And yeah, so we have been eagerly anticipating any news, any release, anything about the Dark Tower movie. So kind of our kind of emergency bonus episode here is our thoughts on the Dark Tower trailer that was released today on May 3rd, 2017. So we will be reviewing the movie, I'm sure, in August. Are you?
I don't know yet. I'm not committed to that.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
I Tiny's kidding, guys.
I am kidding.
Yeah, and I was honestly thinking that, still, we're going to probably have 2 episodes devoted to it, to be honest. That's, if you want to.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that.
Yeah, I was thinking, have us do an episode that's just me and you, or maybe me, you, and someone who hasn't read the books, like maybe Fecus or someone to come on and just do a spoiler-free review of the movie as movie goers are concerned. And then us do a supplemental episode that's just you and I talking about it from the perspective of fans of the book series. And yeah, that's my thought process for it. So
okay,
we'll see what we do in October. Nope, August. It's August.
Yep.
But yeah. So first, I kind of want to go ahead and go into the Facebook group and talk about their reactions on the Facebook group to this trailer. You heard a bit of the trailer in the beginning of this episode, just kind of run down it. It's the first official trailer for the Dark Tower movie, directed by Nikolaj Arcel. It's set to release August 4th. There was a leaked non-finished trailer that was leaked around November or December, but this is the full-length official trailer, and in it we see a lot of footage of Jake and Roland and the Man in Black, and we see parts of Midworld and parts of the what appears to be present day New York City, as Roland and Jake go on their little adventure there. And it's to put it in a word, obviously it's very different from what you would expect from the books, but we'll get into all that shortly. But I did post in the Facebook group and asked, let's talk about the official trailer for The Dark Tower. What does everyone think? And we got some really good feedback, and I'm going to kind of go off of that as well to include some other feedback that I've seen across the internet. So, should I just, do you want to alternate, or should we, how should we do that?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll play.
Okay.
Okay, so Tony Troxel, friend of the show, Tony Troxel, and fellow podcaster at Indiana Geeking, or Geeking in Indiana podcast, at Indiana Geeking on Twitter. He said, I think now you're going to finally shut up about it. so that was really nice. He also tagged me on a Facebook post saying maybe you'll shut up now. No. I replied and said that obviously we're going to have to start pumping out weekly bonus episodes for Dark Tower updates and gauging our thoughts on it in the weeks ahead. Tiny, that's non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. So we will be doing that. And then I'll just say Chad's real quick.
Yeah.
Our friend Chad from The Secular Perspective at thesecularperspective.com, he said, I thought I heard the sound of Matt orgasming echoing through the city last night. To which I said, yes, sir. Tiny, do you want to read Matt Quiet's one, and we can talk about it? Matt Quiet, our friend and fellow podcaster at the Nerds Domain.
Matt said, I haven't read the books. Is this similar to the actual storyline? I thought 3 things while watching this. I love Matthew McConaughey as a villain, or just in a serious and intense role. I love Idris Elba, and this looks really good, but will it hold up enough to the book to please the fans and still be accessible to an unread audience?
And that, I think, is a loaded question.
It is.
Yeah. And then he followed that up after my response and said, do you think it's worth me trying to read the books before the movie comes out? I did that with American Gods before the show started, but I'm waiting to binge the show. And then friend of the show and Patreon subscriber, Matt and Draco. I just read his name on Facebook. So it's Matt and Draco. Anyway, here I thought I was going to be good reading the first book. Now I have to rush to finish them all.
Yeah.
So to kind of go back to Matt Quiet's, thoughts, what's your response to him, Tiny?
I would say I don't think it's going to hold up enough to the book to please fans. I really don't. I mean,
right.
I think and that's not so much a criticism of the movie. That's more of a criticism of the fans, I think. I think people are just like, nope, I pictured him as Clint Eastwood, can't watch it. Yeah. And that's it, they're done. And there's so many people like that are so set in their ways. I think traditionalists or like big fans of the books are going to kind of trash it for that. That's what I foresee. Yeah,
and I agree, and I'm afraid for that. Just because I kind of my thought process is, I think people want a Lord of the Rings style thing where they are adapting the book pretty close to it. I know that Peter Jackson did make changes and everything, but I mean, he stuck close to the source material, obviously. From what I understand, I've never read Lord of the Rings, so forgive me for that. But for the most part, he followed the beats of it. It's an adaptation, and people were pleased with it. But I think that people who want a Dark Tower adaptation want that type of meticulous adaptation, which I don't fault them for, just because, I mean, it's Stephen King's magnum opus. It's a sprawling adventure epic that is just beautiful. It goes into such weird, bizarre directions that even us as hardcore fans, we don't agree with every decision that King made and everything. And like, I mean, granted, like if they made a strict adaptation of it, I mean, if you do go book by book, I mean, you're going to lose an audience in the first book in the first movie, because the first book is, honestly, it's kind of dry compared to the rest of the series.
Yeah, right.
And that's getting into a whole other discussion. But I think that people who maybe haven't read up on the news surrounding the movie, or people who haven't paid close attention to the production, or just people who have just kind of been angry about that, about the choices that are made. They're still sticking to that. I want a Harry Potter adaptation. I want a Lord of the Rings style adaptation, which this isn't what that's going to be at all.
Yeah.
The
heart of the story is not the race or ethnic makeup of the main character. Like, that's just not
right.
That's really not what's important.
Yeah, and I think what it's funny because I actually wasn't even really inferring anything about the race. I was thinking more just in terms of the style of it, and like being true to the source material in terms of the chronology of what happens and the events that happen in a step-by-step thing. Yeah. But we'll get into that when we talk about our feelings on it. Jeff Palermo from Sci-Fi on Screen, a podcast I really love, he said, "Not what I expected, am not entirely thrilled." And then he said, "I've only read the first 3 books, so I don't know the whole story as King completed it. There's a tough guy, macho action movie element to the trailer that I don't think fits the spirit of the books." And yeah, I'll just read my response because this is where I'm at with that.
Mm-hmm.
I said that it makes perfect sense. The beauty of the books is how it melds so many different genre elements together and creates a really interesting and deep mythology. I feel like the mythical world and the mythology hinted at in the trailer is pretty on point for me, but there is an emphasis on action in the trailer, whereas the books have action kind of spread out to really maximize the impact. Like in the Gunslinger, there's one like kind of action set piece, and it's not an action movie set piece. It's like it's a character doing something deplorable to a group of people, and it's kind of, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'd make the comparison to the church scene from Kingsman, but it's kind of similar to that in a way.
Totally.
Yeah. And then I went on to say that one could argue that they'll need more action in the movie to grab the movie-going audience, and like it's more for a marketability standpoint that, I mean, if they want to create a franchise out of this, they need to get asses in the seats. But honestly, and I fully admit that could totally be a fanboy cop-out on my part, but overall I have faith that it'll honor the source material in a unique way. Yeah, so that's our back and forth with Jeff there. And do you want to read Justin's?
Yeah, our friend Justin, he said, "As someone who only had a brief dalliance with the first book in the series a decade ago, 1, the mid-air reloading looks a tad goofy. I get the feel they're going for, but it just came off a tad cheesy. That rapid reload from the belt was hot, though. 2, I typically can't stand Matthew McConaughey, but that's probably a good thing in this instance. Should make for a pretty despicable villain. And 3, everything else looks absolutely epic."
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. I think the mid-air reloading is like the standout thing of the trailer. Just because it's going to be controversial. I think there's going to be people like this who are like, that's like weird, or think it's just goofy, like to use Justin's word. Yeah. But I personally, I thought it was pretty awesome because, I mean, all in the book, all that's really described is that he reloads incredibly fast. Like, there's multiple references throughout the series where a cat just like jumps on the tower and rings some stuff. But there's multiple references across the series where characters referenced how unbelievably fast Roland is at performing things related to the guns, and so, but there's no like specifics necessarily. Yeah, and so they have the ability to take creative liberties there, and that's like, you know, you can only represent that so many ways, and it is very acrobatic and maybe a little over the top, but I don't care. I don't either, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like you said, in the books there are descriptions of him reloading like ungodly fast. Like it is like
you can barely comprehend how quick he's reloading revolvers,
or just drawing the gun,
yeah. Which is, I mean, he's a gunslinger. Like, that's the whole thing about him as a character is he's like, it's the equivalent of a gun welding, like, knight of the round table. Like, that's kind of the way to put it into context. So he is like a master with the guns.
Right.
And so when you read that in the books, it's like you get in your head, like you can picture like him doing this really quick reloading and everything and tricking and everything. But translating, like, that's one of the things that I was most concerned about with the movie being, like, the books being adapted, is that when you have that in your head, like, you can cheat in your head and, like, create these images of like, really, like, obscenely, like, out of the realm of possibility, like, quick movements that fit the character as described, but to translate that to film and to capture it on film is really difficult. And yeah, as far as the shots that we saw in the trailer, like, I didn't have a problem with the midair reload. I thought it looked kind of cool.
Me too.
A little bit goofy. That's fair. But I mean, like, the quick reload from the belt and the way that he just fires the bullets into the revolver as it goes through, like, that was great. I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next comment was from frequent guest and friend of the show, Robert Feckus, who he just said confusing.
Very elaborate.
Yeah, so I asked him to elaborate, and I also said, if you say because Roland is supposed to be white, then I'm never going to go back to Vegas. That's kind of an inside thing. Where I'm hopefully going to go to Vegas next year with him and a bunch of guys. I was supposed to go this year, but it didn't pan out. But anyway, and so he followed that up by saying that his confusion came from him only reading the first book, and then he asked if the two worlds thing with the kid follows the books, because it kind of seemed odd, which it's funny, and that's kind of where I'm at as far as not the backlash per se, but the reaction to people wanting, like, a strict adaptation, is that, like, he read the first book, he read The Gunslinger, and so he is at a loss for this parallel dimension thing and this whole, like, basically the entire mythology. And the important thing to think about when thinking about this as an adaptation of Stephen King's novels, The Gunslinger he started writing The Gunslinger when he was 19, and it was published in a serialized format, in, like, monthly publications. And he went back and revised it when he wrote the rest of the books. Like, his writing style is literally, he's going from, like, he doesn't outline or anything to an extent. He just free flows writing, and he writes everything and then edits it and everything. So when he wrote The Gunslinger, I mean, this is the story of a mysterious gunslinger who's wandering the desert for an undetermined amount of time. He meets this kid. They're in pursuit of this wizard that's known as the Man in Black, who holds the key to finding the tower. That's, in a nutshell, that is The Gunslinger, the novel. If you were to adapt that page by page, it'd make for kind of a boring movie.
Yeah.
And going forward, like, in the series, books 2, 3, 4, and on, they really expand upon the mythology of Midworld and of the Beam, and like all of these things about the storyline that is just touched on in The Gunslinger, because Stephen King went back and revised it.
Right.
So it's like it's impossible to just do The Gunslinger. So yeah. So anyway, that's a little rant there. But,
right.
Did you have any thoughts on Feckus's thoughts?
Other than to echo what you said, I mean, ironically, it'd almost be better to, like, start with book 2 if you're coming into the series, and then read that, and then go back and read The Gunslinger as, like, it's. I think you described it before as, like, a prologue almost. Yeah,
I kind of feel like The Gunslinger is almost like a prologue to the Dark Tower series, and like, if you read The Gunslinger and you feel like, I don't really think this is really my speed or really my thing, like the heart of the story and the actual tone, maybe not tone of the story, but the mythology of it, and maybe tone is the right word, of the entire saga and the entire series is really fleshed out in Drawing of the Three, which is book 2, which is probably, like, on certain days it's my favorite Dark Tower book.
Me too.
Yeah, and it's fantastic.
Yep.
And yeah, so let's see. Also, Justin replied and said that there were Easter eggs in the trailer that we'll talk about in our little discussion here. I did want to bring up a couple of things real quick. Okay, yeah. Well, someone I know on Facebook said the Dark Tower trailer is exactly what I didn't want.
Oh.
And he went on to say, it's going to be a total fucking nightmare for anyone who loved the books. I don't hate any of the actors, but it seems like they're making it into some kind of buddy film right off the bat. The gunslinger... I'm not going to read that because that's a spoiler for the gunslinger. Then he said, please, God, please don't fuck this up, Hollywood. And it's funny because, like, and I meant to respond to that, but I never did. It's funny because he says that it's like a buddy movie right off the bat, which the gunslinger is just Roland and Jake. That's the gunslinger. That's the book. The Gunslinger is their journey in pursuit of the Man in Black. That's right. That's what that is.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what he means by that.
Me neither. And I do get the kind of I don't know, but one of the reservations I have, and we can kind of dive into our thoughts on the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reservations I have real quick is the focus of Jake as the main character, because the book starts with the most famous line that Stephen King's written, probably, definitely.
I don't know about the most famous, but he claims it's his best sentence.
Yeah, his best sentence. Yeah, is the Man in Black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed. It's the sentence that opens the Dark Tower saga, and it's a beautifully constructed sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot where I was going with that. It starts with that, and the whole first book and the whole story is Roland is the main character. He's one of Stephen King's greatest characters. But the trailer, and from what I've read and everything, shows that the movie is kind of putting Jake to be the focal point and the focal character, and that's probably my biggest reservation about the movie and what they're doing with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've talked a lot. Tiny, what are your reactions to the Dark Tower trailer? Because we have not talked about it.
Sure. My reaction is positive.
Nice.
It is a positive reaction. I think it's important to reference both the full length trailer and the teasers that came out, because there were some teasers on Monday.
Yes, yesterday or Tuesday.
There were a couple teasers.
Yeah, one was focused on Matthew McConaughey's character. One was Idris Elba's.
Right. But there's a shot, if you will, in one of the teasers that is not in the main trailer.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And there was that shot, like, gave me goosebumps.
I know, right?
Yeah. It was the door, right? Yeah. So, like, that gave me goosebumps, and, like, I was like, oh my god, that's fucking perfect. Like, that was perfect. That one shot. But unfortunately, I didn't get that same feeling with anything in the main trailer.
Okay.
Which was a bit of a shame. But that's just the trailer. That's not the whole movie.
Right.
So to know that there's a shot like that, it's just an establishing shot. In the teaser, that means there has to be at least a couple things like that in the movie, which made me very happy, because that means there's going to be something for me in this movie that I'm going to really like. And it's going to be so true to the books and it's just going to have that aesthetic that I associate with this whole series, and just nail it perfectly. So I was really happy to see that. So that made me very hopeful.
Me too. On that note, and we can move on. I'm gonna let you finish.
Okay.
But
Kanye.
On that note, and this is veering into slight, not necessarily spoiler talk or anything, but I just want to say, like, that imagery and, like, my memory of it, and maybe I filled in the background a little bit in my mind to want it to be at a specific setting, but it's a doorway. My hope is that is, like, one of the last shots of the movie.
Okay.
That's my hope, is that is right at the end of the movie, and it opens the door to further installments to come.
Agreed.
But that's all I'll say on that. So any more? Go ahead.
Yeah. Earlier on, you referred to the Man in Black as a wizard, which he is, and he is a wizard, and that's like that's just not really what I've thought of him as. But he obviously has magical kind of tendencies to him.
Yeah.
But that was on pretty stark display in this trailer. I feel like there's some scenes of Roland and the Man in Black having a battle, if you will.
Yeah.
Which isn't really necessarily in keeping with the books.
Right. It's not. It's not.
I knew it was going to happen, though. I knew it was going to be in the movie, in the series, if it turns into a series, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Right.
I knew that was going to happen because the battle, if you will, between Roland and the Man in Black in the books is mostly ideas. It's mostly a battle of ideas. They only meet like once or twice in the whole series. I mean, it's just not a big thing. It's mostly behind the scenes stuff, and it's agents of both sides conflicting with each other more than the two actually do. Yeah, and that's part of the brilliance of the series.
Exactly.
And that's and they have a battle of words at certain points throughout the series and the books, and that for me that appealed to me more than the two of them actually like having a fist fight or a gunfight, whatever.
Exactly. And the way it's depicted in the trailer, I mean, maybe this is me just making excuses and being somewhat of an apologist to that. I agree, yeah. Because first, I mean, we do have that line where he says, have you told the boy that anyone who goes with you ends up dead by my hand?
Did you tell the kid whoever walks with you dies by my hand?
Which there's something about the tone of voice he uses. I'm not too. That kind of rubbed me just a little bit of the wrong way. It didn't really feel like Walter / the Man in Black. I wish they had the rights to the stand. Anyway, so that and like that shows that there is them meeting at one point, and then there is the action scene where they're in a building somewhere, and Roland is firing at him as he slides down a hallway, and he's not firing at him, he's firing up at the glass ceiling. He's breaking that glass ceiling. I don't know why I said that. And then the Man in Black stops the glass before it hits him. And also, maybe wizard isn't necessarily the right word. It's more sorcerer.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
he uses magic.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah.
But like my hope and my excuse for that in the trailer is that hopefully that's Roland attacking the Man in Black, and then they have their palaver, and that's where they bring out the ideas and their their conflict essentially.
Right.
But I don't know. Well, I mean, we'll see. But anyway, continue anymore.
But that scene that you just described is what I was coming to. He shoots that glass, and like there's a shot of Matthew McConaughey sticking his hands up in the air and using some kind of force to stop the glass from falling on him. And like I wasn't crazy about it, to be honest.
Sure.
I mean, like I said, I knew that was going to be in the movie. I knew there was going to need to be some physical conflict, some action. But I was just hoping. I don't know. I'm just not looking forward to that. I'm not criticizing the movie or the trailer for having that in it. I'm just not really looking forward to that. And I'm much more looking forward to the conflict of ideas as opposed to the conflict of if they do it like they did in the book, if it's like the books, you know. But yeah, the whole just seeing the magic stuff. It was so ancillary in in the books. It was just like something that happened. It wasn't a focus. I mean, it's
sort of, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, it was also behind the scenes. It wasn't like they were, he was casting spells at Roland. It was like he was controlling humans and, having them attack Roland and stuff like that.
Right.
On that note, the comparison that I would make is like I totally agree. I totally see where you're coming from. It didn't bother me as much, but it's festering a little bit.
It was Michael Bay-ish.
A little bit.
Which,
that might be a little harsh for me.
Yeah.
But I totally see where you can come to that.
Yeah.
But my comparison that I would make is it's like, yes, Roland is a master gunslinger. The Man in Black is a sorcerer with really powerful magic abilities and stuff. But the comparison that I would make is like, to kind of go back to, comparing this to like Lord of the Rings or to Harry Potter, like with Harry Potter, like they had wands and stuff and they had magic and stuff, but like it's not until like the fifth book or fifth movie also that you see like actual like battles with the wands and stuff.
Right.
And like I think like that storyline fit, like that was really well done because like you have that background and stuff. I kind of wish that there would be. And granted, this is all conjecture based on a 2-minute trailer.
Right.
But I kind of feel like if they were going to do this big battle between the Man in Black and Roland, like, save that. But I know that they're kind of, I'm not sure how they're going to do the movie with the expectation of having a franchise or if it's, please dear God, no, be a standalone thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we can talk more about that, or do you have any other?
Like I said, my reaction to it is positive. I mean, because there's going to be stuff in there for me, and like there's for a fan of my caliber, I guess I would say
Caliber.
Yeah, caliber. Yeah. So yeah, it's a positive reaction to it, and it's making me more excited for the movie. It was a good thing, and I'm glad it turned out the way it did. I'm glad that it's. While I was critical of those things, like I said, I acknowledge it needs to be there, and I'm glad they included it in the trailer. But I wish the trailer would have had a few more not Easter eggs, but I don't know, ideas and concepts, characteristics of the world itself and the characters. I wanted a little more depth, I guess I'd say.
Sure.
A little bit more stuff for us, but I realized that us, being the diehard fans, are probably not going to be the primary focus of the demographic they're looking for with this movie. They're looking for like the 17-year-old kid that wants to see shit blow up. Yeah. That's what they're going for. They're going for the Michael Bay crowd, and I understand why they have to do that.
Exactly.
But I wanted to see a little bit more. Since they made us wait for fucking ever for the damn trailer. And the movie itself, I wish they would have given us a little bit more in the trailer.
Right.
If that makes sense. I hope it does.
Oh, it absolutely does. And I'm kind of the thought that if we weren't 3 months away from the damn movie, like I would think like, okay, this is the trailer. This trailer is for the non-readers. This is the trailer to get people interested. I mean, they released it the week that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is coming out. I believe it's going to be playing with that movie.
I think so.
Yeah. And I mean, from that, I can understand the marketing standpoint 100%.
Me too.
Yes, because you have in the trailer a very, very, not heavy-handed, but very thorough with brevity exposition dump. Gunslingers are no longer there. The tower controls both worlds. They're in pursuit of the Man in Black. They need to save the tower. Like, all of this stuff is condensed into like probably 15 seconds of the whole movie, or of the whole trailer. And so you need that for the layperson to see it and make a decision of, oh, that sounds interesting to me. It's the log line of the series, essentially, is what's spelled out in the beginning of this trailer. And like, I've seen people complain or people say that, like online say that would have worked a lot better if they would have had, like a couple months ago or something, had a teaser trailer that was just Matthew McConaughey walking through the desert, says Man in Black fled across the desert, then a shot of Idris Elba in pursuit of him, and the gunslinger followed. And like that would be the teaser trailer for it, which would be amazing and would give me chills and would make me very, very excited about it. But it would also be disingenuous to what the movie is, because it would get people in the idea that it's a straight adaptation, which it's not.
Right.
It's
good point.
Yeah. It's also important to note that the Dark Tower series is so weird and bizarre and strange that this movie, like it is both an adaptation and a continuation. It's like I don't think that anything like this has happened before in terms of a novel being published, or a movie adapting a series of novels, because it is in that interesting an interesting cross section where it's a continuation and an adaptation, and also a condensed version of several elements of the books and everything. Like the shot in the trailer of Jake in the house going into Midworld, that's from book 3 of the series. And it's obviously not at all how it happens in book 3. So it's an interesting experiment in adaptations and everything. And at the end of the day, we still have these books. Like, it's not like this movie could be terrible. Please God, I hope not. But we will still have these books, and I will still love the books.
Yeah.
And I will still see this movie several fucking times.
Yeah.
Which makes me completely, like, now I understand the Star Wars prequels for people.
Yeah.
I get it now.
And they're Marvel's still making Dark Tower comics.
Uh-huh.
Stephen King is still writing books and still linking universes together. So who knows what we could get there.
Yeah. It's weird, and this is total obsessive book nerd stuff, but I would love for Stephen King to, and this is like, people say like, oh, I want Stephen King to write a book about the Battle of Jericho Hill, which is part of the Dark Tower mythology and Roland's backstory. And I'm sitting here like, I want him to make like a spin-off book about the Tet Corporation and like the corporate espionage that's kind of hinted at in the later books. That's a complete ancillary like background thing that happens. And it's just like, there's like a couple scenes in the books where it's like they talk about this whole thing that's been going on another, like in another side of the, like another type of universe and everything, another timeline and stuff that's been going on, and it's all in protection of the tower. And I'm like, I would freaking love to see that. Or like, I would totally read a book about that. But anyway, back to the trailer. Any more thoughts that you have, or should I dive in mine, or any more?
Go for it. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I forgot I hadn't
you're
really...
fine. So my thoughts on the trailer are, like, okay, I'm resoundingly positive on it. Did I use that word right? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Resoundingly positive. That was a joke. Anyway, I am very positive on it, and that's mostly because I mean, the Dark Tower, dude. It's like, I can't speak for you, but I mean, it's my favorite thing. Just about. It's my favorite thing, and I just love that it's happening. I love that we now have proof that this movie exists and is going to come out.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it could suck. It could be terrible. It's not going to ruin my enjoyment of the novels. It's just not. And I know that you can't adapt the novels. It's just impossible to adapt them into a film or into a series of films without making major changes and concessions. That's why I think that the concept of it being a continuation / adaptation and everything is really plays well to it, because the opening scene of the movie has a very specific image to me, and that, like, as long as that's the opening shot of the movie, anything's fair game. So anyway, my thoughts on the trailer. I want to kind of go into a little bit of the negatives here. Tom Taylor, I think he's fine. He looks like he'll be fine. They at least appear to have good chemistry, he and Idris. There's one part, and this is probably nitpicking, but there's one part in the trailer that I will cut and add here in post when I'm editing the podcast. That was just me reminding myself when I edit. But there's a part where he says, if the tower falls, 6 billion people or billions of people will, in my world, will die. It's a cool like part of it, which also, you know, deep-seated fans of the novels will be pissed that Jake is trying to convince him to save the tower, when, I mean, that is a, like, I get it. That is totally a valid argument, because that's one of the things I don't like about what they're changing, is that the whole crux of the entire book series is that, like, Roland, his drive, his entire character is based around his pursuit of the tower. That's what he is about. To have the character in the movie be off the path of the tower and needing to be convinced to go after it and to save the universe is kind of a tough sell. But there's that moment where he says, if the tower falls, and there's something about the way that he says it that it's like his accent drops, and it's like, I'm just like, I feel like, is that the best take that they got of that? Because I don't know, and I'll cut this part out, but I'll play it for you so you can get some feedback if you didn't see it.
Is he not American?
I don't know, because I've been saying that his accent drops. So I mean, for all I know, he could be He could be born and raised in Brooklyn.
The world might be gone, but mine isn't. If you let that tower fall, billions of people die.
Do they have guns and bullets in your world?
You're gonna like Earth.
Love that line.
That was fun.
Yeah.
You're gonna like Earth.
Yeah. So when he says, when the tower falls, did you hear that when I played it?
Oh yeah. I really did. I didn't notice it when I watched it before, but after you pointed it out,
he visibly winced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one reservation I have for that. I did one thing that I really liked. I thought this was cool because I've been paying attention to the production and everything as much as I can. I got one like really cool surprise out of it because I had no idea that this actor was cast in the movie. Yeah. When he's saying like the gunslinger like mantra, and it says, forget the face of your father, there's a shot of Idris with fucking Dennis Haysbert.
I know.
I'm like, that's so awesome. Like, Dennis Haysbert is cast as Stephen Deshane. And I'm like, that is perfect casting.
Perfect.
Like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. Like I want so many scenes of them together.
I know, me too.
And I know that we're not going to get many or hardly any scenes with them, but like that is a perfect father-son casting. And like, especially with a character, with like characters in the line of Eld, which is a little inside baseball, guys. But anyway, one of the reasons why I loved the casting of Idris Elba is he has this ability to have this striking, like, very nuanced and imposing, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like imposing presence, yeah. And Dennis Haysbert, I mean, he got the same thing.
Exactly.
He can be like an intimidating and imposing figure, and it's like just that, like him playing Stephen like that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Man, I loved it.
I agree.
Yeah, and then that line, that fun little line where Roland's like, do they have guns and bullets in your world? And then Jake just says, you're gonna like Earth a lot.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute.
That was funny.
Cool.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah, it makes me excited because down the road, if they do more movies, if they expand on everything, they bring in Eddie.
Yeah.
God damn it. Oh, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice the Easter eggs?
I did. I noticed 2 of them. I don't know how many there are.
I think 2 are the 2 that you're referring to are the ones that have been the most prominent. I know that and that's one of the things that I really like about the idea of this movie is that even if they shit the bed and the movie is terrible and everything is just the world, the tower falls and everything is gone because this movie sucks, like my own personal tower. At least it's going to have tons of awesome Stephen King Easter eggs. Yeah. Like, that's where I'm at with it. Like, in the trailer, we get a shot of Jake wandering through a wasteland, and it says Pennywise. It has the balloons and everything. Obvious reference to it. And then also on the desk, what I assume is, I don't know the context, it could be Jake's room or it could be the psychiatrist's office. There's a photograph of the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, of course. It's just, and I know that there is a production still that has a storefront that's a reference to, I'll keep that as a spoiler free, but as a reference to another King work. So it's going to be at least a love letter in some regards to the work of Stephen King. Yeah, when you said that about the door and not having that sense of like this is for me thing, when Roland is reciting that gunslinger creed, mantra, whatever, like that iconic thing from the books, when he's reciting it, I'm like, this is what I want. It's great to hear him say it. And then the visuals of him, like at the end of it, where he's like, you can see he's about to fire, and he pulls off that shot. It's just like, that's cool. That's just cool to me. Yeah. And honestly, people saying that it doesn't match the tone and stuff, and it seems more action heavy. Like, yes, it does. Like him flying through rooms, firing the guns and everything. But like that at the end where he's taking a breath, he's like sensing what all's going on, and he raises the gun, fires one shot, and blows that guy's head off. Like that's Roland Deschain. That's the gunslinger. That's the tone that I want the movie to strike. And I think that element of it, without the benefit of the context, knowing the context of the movie, of course, is very much in keeping with the tone of the novels that I love so much. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. What else? I feel like there is so much more that we can go over. What did you think? Because the production stills and everything that have released, and all the information we've had before this trailer has been in basically production stills and stuff. So Tiny, in those stills and everything, we didn't see much of Midworld, but in this trailer we get a lot of good footage of the gunslinger's world. How did you feel about that? I feel pretty good about it, especially some of the establishing shots that we got. I mentioned the one earlier that gave me goosebumps, that had the door in it. And there's an establishing shot of what I assume is Gilead. Fallen Gilead. That like I had to at the beginning? Yes. Okay. I had to pause it and like look at it for a while, just because I was like, there's so much detail here. Is there any Easter eggs here? And it's like, it was awesome. So I was pretty satisfied with. I just wanted a little bit more of it. Sure. And you know, some of the cruxes of the book franchise were on pretty cool display. Most notably for me, like the portal, like back and forth between Midworld and Earth. I dug that. I thought it looked cool. My only issue with it is that in the books, it's a hard thing to do, and like they have to go through quite a bit of hardship to be able to get those portals to open and to use them. And it seems like they're kind of using them a little willy-nilly in the trailer anyways. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case in the movie or not. Yeah. In the series, if it turns into a movie series. Fingers crossed. Yeah. I can't say that enough. Right. So I was a little concerned there, but
that still remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
We have to see the movie first. So, I think those little nuggets of things that I've had mental images of for the past several years since I've read the books, to see them visually represented was super cool. And I was fairly happy with the stuff that I saw.
Yeah, me too. I really liked it. I thought that a lot of it, and this is maybe just me, being a little more pigeonholed to the original books and everything, to the Gunslinger itself. But I was kind of hoping for more like a desert landscape. Because we do see a lot of like the overgrown, what could be Gilead, what could possibly not be Gilead. But in like the Pennywise thing and a bunch of the other things, like there's a lot of variety, which I do appreciate, because I'm sure that because the movie seems like it's going to be split between Midworld and our world. And I do appreciate the different landscapes and stuff, because like there's a shot of Roland in a field. There is like a field, an overgrown thing, kind of a slightly mountainous terrain. There's a lot of variety there, and I kind of appreciate that, because you're going to want to basically convey that they are traveling great distances and everything. That's the kind of one of the big things about their journey. So I can appreciate that. I was just kind of hoping for more of a desert landscape and more of a dry, arid thing.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and to your point about them kind of going willy-nilly between worlds, I mean, granted, there is only like a couple of shots of them going through portals. The portal itself, I kind of wish was, a door, but
right.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, it is kind of like the shot of Jake going through that portal into Midworld seems, and maybe again, this is my bias as a book reader and a bias as the source material that it's taken from. It seems very much like hey, I just drew this thing, I found the place, I'm going to go through this doorway or go through this portal. It didn't seem like I don't know. It didn't seem like a big thing. Hopefully in the context of the movie, he is, this is a huge, huge moment for him. Hopefully. Yeah. That, and then, the shots of the actual tower, which granted, I don't know how the movie is plotted. I don't know how it's going to turn out and everything, but there are shots of what I assume is visual representations of the tower exploding and the beams hitting it, which also, it did look like the actual beams converging on it.
It did, yeah.
Yeah,
I was to say that was
so freaking cool.
That was one of those images that I had in my head that I saw, and I was like, God, that looks really cool.
Yeah. My hope for that is that it's just a fantasy. Like
it's like a dream or something.
Yeah.
Not an actual,
Yeah, because my hope for it, and maybe we can kind of end the podcast with this here in like 3 hours, but my hope is that, that Roland and Jake don't make it to the tower. Like, right. I hope that it leaves it open for a franchise to eventually reach the tower with, I mean, the whole quartet would be preferable.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh God, I just turned it back to that. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, it looks great.
It does look cool.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on it, or should we start winding down a little bit?
Wind it down. I'm not sure how much else I have to say about it.
Yeah. Me neither. Yeah, me neither. I really hope that at some point in the movie, I really hope that with Roland going into our world, I want there to be a lot of him learning about it and like interacting with our world. Mm-hmm. Like I want him to say photographs and Aston and stuff. I want him to garble the language and stuff. Mm-hmm. So kind of to wind down, what are your expectations now that you've seen the trailer? How do you feel about the movie going into it? How do you feel about what's to come?
I feel pretty good. Like I said, I think they're going to give. I think right now all I can do is look at it from a marketing perspective, because that's what a trailer is. It's an ad. It's just a video ad for the movie, basically, and they're trying to appeal to a certain demographic. And so I'm kind of hoping that a lot of what we saw in the trailer was that, as opposed to the actual meat of the movie itself. Like I said, to put it like I said earlier, I hope there's a lot of stuff for me and for the people like us, who've been dedicated to the series for a while. That's what I'm hoping, and based on a few cues throughout the teasers and the trailer itself, I think we're going to be okay. And I'm still looking forward to it just as much as I was.
Me too. I am very much jazzed for it. I can't wait. My position on it, like, I know I have been known in the past to be excited about something and be let down by it.
Yeah.
I am actively looking at this from a more, what's the word I'm looking for? A more realistic perspective. Like my excitement for this movie and my love for this material is just that. It's excitement and love for the material. This is another version of it. This is someone taking their love of the material and putting it into a different medium. It's not going to change how I read the books. It's not going to change what I love about it. Best case scenario, it's going to be incredible, and I'm going to love it, and I'm going to have another thing to add to my love of the Dark Tower. And also, best case scenario also is freaking merchandise. I'm going to spend so much money on anything I can find regarding the Dark Tower.
True. Very true.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, it blows, it tanks, they don't make any more. I still have 8 books and a bunch of comic books.
Yeah.
Like, it's a win-win.
Right.
So hopefully this plays before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and hopefully people go see it, and hopefully, we get a big franchise out of it, hopefully. TV show for Wizard and Glass. Parting thought. Last I checked, you were midway through book 5 in your read through. Are you gonna make it to August 4th?
I'm gonna make it. Yeah.
Nice. Where are you at now?
I finished book 5, and
nice.
I took a break to get some other books read. And plus, I didn't want to finish the books too early. Before the movie came out.
That'll be my excuse too.
Yeah. So I want to read 6 and 7. I'll probably audiobook it. Before the movie comes out. I got plenty of time. And then I'd like to get Went Through the Keyhole read, which I still have yet to read.
Same here.
Still never read it. And I want to read the comics, but that's kind of, there's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen. And plus, other than some flashbacks maybe in the movie, I don't know that we're going to get much comic book stuff in there.
Yeah.
Although there is, I mean, this isn't a spoiler, it's part of the press. There's an actress cast as Susan Delgado in the movie.
That's not accurate.
On IMDb, there's an actress.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Who's
I saw
the actress? Not Catherine Winnick.
Alex McGregor.
Seriously?
Yeah. So I don't know if some of the flashback that's in book 4 is going to be in this.
Oh shit!
I don't know.
My freaking immediate thought, and this goes against everything that I've said about this adaptation and about the movie and everything, is she's not blonde.
Me too. That's the first thing I thought too.
Maybe I don't see that. Well, because we did get that shot in the trailer of him with his dad,
right?
So I can't imagine they would flash back to. I wonder if that's because IMDb is also, and I'll be eating my words, come August probably, but I mean IMDb is never it's not never 100%.
It's true.
So it could be that could just be something that's not accurate to the movie, but
yeah,
wow, that would be surprising. So surprising.
Yeah. But I mean, based on the kind of flashback is not an accurate word for the scene that Roland has in the trailer that Roland has with his dad, played by Dennis Haysbert, because they're both adult grown men. And
that's true. Oh, that's true.
Stephen Deshane. I don't want to be a spoiler about the books.
Right.
They were never men together.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
easier way of saying that would be Roland left Gilead when he was a boy.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm wondering if maybe he just kind of has some kind of hallucination at some point.
Yeah, maybe an
like
apparition or something.
Yeah, something like that. A dream. Where he sees Susan and his dad.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be so cool if that's like the only thing we see of Susan Delgado in the movie is just a flashback or like a shot of his memory that's just her in a window.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
God, that would be so great.
Right.
I am so excited for this. So yeah. So what was your point about bringing up Susan? I don't. Because that just blew my mind a little bit.
I don't remember what my point was.
Okay, sure. So, yeah. So my where I'm at with the with the reread is I am 14 hours into Wizard and Glass, which is book 4. So what I will have is stuff. I'll have plenty of time. I've been listening to the audiobooks. I am I'm 16 hours into it, so I have 11 hours left. So yeah, I'm good there. Wizard and Glass, and then Wolves of the Kala, Song of Susanna, The Dark Tower, and then I'll also check out Wind Through the Keyhole. I'll have plenty of time. It's 3 months. I'll power through it. Yeah. Power through it's the wrong word because I love this freaking series. And like the advent of audiobooks in my life is like, I mean, like I'm gonna re-listen to this. Like I'm gonna try to do it, not like yearly, but I can see that because like one of the big things, it's a daunting read,
right?
And I'm a slow like paper reader.
Yeah.
So this is yeah. I'm gonna So yeah, I'm going to finish rereading The Dark Tower, and then probably around the time The Dark Tower comes out is when I'll start reading for the first time in my life It.
Nice.
Yep. So that about does it for our special bonus episode talking about The Dark Tower official trailer. The movie comes out August 4th. I know how many listeners we get and how many people download the podcast each week, and I know that it's not going to make a big difference or anything, to be honest. But if you're listening to this right now, I'm going to say it. If you don't want to donate, or if you don't want to leave us a review, don't want to do anything, I mean, spend 2 hours at the movie theater the weekend of August 4th.
Yes.
Just, pay the $10, see the movie, even if you have no interest in it, just so that we can get,
yeah,
the box office. Like, yes. I want this to be a thing.
I know.
It's, and it's kind of awkward. I blame MRC and Sony and Nikolaj Arcel. I blame the entire everything for this. But last week I wore, because at work we get casual Fridays, so we wear jeans and shirts on Fridays. So last week, no, it wasn't last week, was it? I think like 2 weeks ago I wore my new, because I was off last Friday. Anyway, the last time I had Casual Friday, I wore my new Katet of 19 Dark Tower shirt, and now it's like I have to wear it again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be that guy. but yeah, so I'm going to wear that to commemorate it. So
nice.
Anyway, people are not listening anymore. Go see the movie, please, when it comes out. I don't care. Like, this is, it's, that's not an ad for any, we won't get any money. It's just,
right.
I really want it to be successful.
Yes.
I really do. Okay. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. We will be back with our review of The Fate of the Furious, likely next week. Because I mean, there's no other time for us to record.
Right.
So we bumped The Fate of the Furious because of the Dark Tower trailer and because of other stuff, and then we've got other stuff going on. Shout out to my friends Yuri and John getting married.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So we'll be back next week with our review of The Fate of the Furious, and
Cause a wheel.
Cause a wheel, and long days and pleasant nights. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
The war is over. You know what's coming. The tower will fall.
And kind of as a bonus to this episode, I'm going to tack on at the end this little discussion that Tiny and I had back when Castle Rock, the Hulu show, was announced, and we talked a little bit about the Dark Tower also. The reason I didn't include it in one of the previous episodes is it was one of those times where we recorded and then life got in the way, so it took about a month for me to edit the recording together, and so we ended up I ended up scrapping that. So kind of as a bonus, I'm going to throw it in here, even though it's not necessarily current. It is still us discussing Stephen King and the Dark Tower, and I figured it would be appropriate for this bonus episode. So enjoy that, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
I do not kill with my gun. I kill with my heart.
So first off, I didn't have time, or I didn't really take the time to compile news and everything, because the last couple of episodes have been kind of delayed with getting it released and everything. But there's one piece of news that I kind of want to mention, just in passing, because we haven't been able to cover it on the podcast yet. And that is the announcement that Hulu is going to be creating a TV series with J.J. Abrams called Castle Rock. That is it's an anthology series that each season is presumably about characters or a story set in the fictional town of Castle Rock, Maine, that popularizes that is the location for several of Stephen King's books and short stories. And honestly, Tiny, this was announced like a month and a half ago, and I was thinking about it, this is, in terms of Stephen King announcements, this is probably the number 2 best thing that I think could have happened.
Really?
I think so. Yeah. The number 1 would be no. This would be number 3. Number 2 would be that the Dark Tower has raved reception, buzz about it, and that they're greenlighting an entire, everything, franchise of movies to do it right and everything.
Yeah.
Then number 1 would be just a complete 100% Stephen King shared universe.
Totally.
Yeah. But this is cool because it's a contained shared universe of the Castle Rock stories, which
it's a mini-verse.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm super excited about it because how do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm excited about it too. I think unfortunately, I think it's of the Stephen King universes, you could say he's created a multiverse, really. And I would say of his multiverse, this is not one of the best known, I think.
Sure.
I think I've only read one of the books that take place in Castle Rock.
Yeah.
The Dead Zone, is that a Castle Rock book?
I believe so, yeah. Dead Zone. And there's some that they're not necessarily set in Castle Rock, but they reference Castle Rock and they're kind of...
Gotcha.
It's kind of a communal thing, I think.
Yeah. But the good thing about it is our co-host who's on sabbatical, Mike, regularly talks about Easter eggs.
Oh, yes.
There could be an Easter egg in every episode.
The teaser trailer alone, the announcement teaser alone, the way it just showed just words from different titles and different character names and stuff.
Yeah. And
had audio from different iconic Stephen King moments. It's that alone, I listened to the Stephen King cast, and they went through. He went through and named all of the Easter eggs that he could find on it, and it's it was like a 25-minute episode.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So,
yeah, I mean, they could just mention about the people who've been dying in Derry or the missing people in Jerusalem's Lot.
Right.
Salem's Lot. Jerusalem's Lot.
Jerusalem's Lot, yeah.
Jesus. Can't even keep them all straight.
You're fine.
And like all that stuff. I mean, it's just Easter egg on top of Easter egg.
The book is Salem's Lot.
Right.
That's the town, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm stupid.
Anyway, no, it's fine.
But yeah, like they could just reference everything all the time, and it'd be so satisfying for fans like us who are
Absolutely.
so familiar with his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yep. So that's awesome. And kind of on tangentially related Stephen King.
What network is that going to be on?
That's going to be on Hulu.
Hulu, okay.
Which is another reason why it makes me really excited because Hulu and J.J. Abrams, they did 11/22/63,
right?
Which I thought was a fantastic event series. I mean, like they had some issues that here and there, but as a Stephen King fan, it was great, and it was loaded up with a ton of different Easter eggs and stuff.
Nice. Gosh, I never saw it.
It's so good.
I don't have Hulu.
I can give you my password. So
Oh,
you can
really?
watch it. Yeah.
I might do that. I might take you up
Nice.
on that
Nice.
because I
get
just,
a password. Yeah, I don't know.
I just can't afford even the $8 a month. I don't want to have any extra.
Right.
Or $10 a month, whatever it is.
You're talking like you just spent $135,000.
Yeah. I spent like $200 at Lowe's this weekend that we didn't have.
Oh, wow.
Just on stuff we kind of needed/wanted for the house.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be. So.
Wow. Talk about the highs and lows, though.
Yeah. Nice.
Highs and lows.
The depots at your home.
That's depots and yeah.
Save big money at Menards.
Uh-huh.
Menards, if you'd like to sponsor us.
Yeah, they
Please
don't. So let's
send an email.
let's.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Final bit of news. We don't have a Dark Tower trailer yet. We do have a poster.
The poster, yeah.
Yeah, which I thought the poster looked pretty cool, if a little derivative of like science fiction action thing. Like it reminded me of like the Doctor Strange poster and like Inception, just the way it seemed kind of generic to that genre for Hollywood releases and stuff. But Tiny, you were more favorable on the poster?
I was. I think it was intended to look that way. Almost as like an Easter egg to the people who are fans of the books, because, you know, it's very, the imagery used in the poster is very reminiscent of a lot of the artwork for the Dark Tower that's been around for years. Because the inverted image is of a tower. Right.
And I like that. And it took me way too long to notice that.
Yeah.
Essentially the way that the poster is set up is that it's, Roland and Jake at the bottom, in the center, walking down a city street, where all of the buildings and basically the skyline and the building around them, they're kind of in an alleyway. It's upside down. And at the top, you can see upside down is Matthew McConaughey as the Man in Black walking kind of on the top of it, parallel to them. But the white space that's in the middle of the whole image is in the shape, like the structure of the buildings and everything that are inverted on either side of the characters. The shape is of the tower, and it's all white sky in the middle. So it looks pretty badass. But yeah. And then today, Tiny, I didn't read this fully because I didn't want to get too depressed. But frequent guest, friend of the show, still pending PlayStation Network friend on my PS4, but whatever. Robert Feckus, he shared a link with me that was someone's thoughts on the footage of Dark Tower that was shown at, I believe it was at CinemaCon, which is a kind of vendor convention for theater owners or something like that. And it was not favorable.
Yeah.
Tiny, you read more about this. How does this make you feel about the movie that we still don't have a trailer for, even though it comes out in like March, like 4 months?
I know. It was a little discouraging. I can't lie. But I feel like there are going to be diehard fans of the books and stuff that like they're just going to be impossible to satisfy. Like there's just going to be no way that they will be happy with anything. And so I think no matter what they see, whether it's a trailer, artwork, and then the movie itself, they're going to be disappointed and they're going to rip it up and stuff. And the guy who wrote the article, I don't know that. I don't know him, but it sounds like he's been a fan of the book since he was like a teenager. So I feel like he could possibly fall into that category. Okay. But having said that, the things that he described, the specifics, the details in the article were discouraging and didn't sound great. But I didn't see them. I just read about descriptions of it. So I mean, what works for one person doesn't work for another. But we have to say this for the umpteenth millionth time. We're not going to know how good it is until we see it. Right. We have to wait and see how it is. I hate saying that, but at this point, that's all I can do to remain positive.
Yeah, and I think with me, like when I started reading that, I stopped reading after the first few sentences. And I was like, I'll wait until I see something. Myself. And it wasn't like, I don't know. I had this thought the other day. I was sitting there thinking like, it does, and I'm going to try my best to keep this frame of reference or this mindset going into the movie when it finally gets released. But like, I was just sitting there thinking, like, hypothetically, like, okay, what if this movie is garbage? What if this movie is, spoiler for the extended potpourri we're about to discuss, but what if this movie is The Great Wall? What if it's not great and not good at all? And then I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I was trying to put myself in that headspace, and I'm not putting it's at the end of the day, it's a movie that's based on what is definitely my favorite book series of all time and favorite Stephen King work of all time. At the end of the day, they could completely destroy the movie. I still have those books.
Right.
That's because it's not like, I don't know. It's not like they're ruining the source material by making it into another medium. So I don't know. But then just watch when we see it and we review it, and I cry my fanboy tears about it. But yeah. So that's The Dark Tower. We still don't have a trailer. When we do, we'll probably have an episode about it. So expect that like the week before the movie's released at this rate.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast app. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. You can email the hosts individually at Matt, Tiny, or Mike at ObsessiveViewer.com, or send an email to the podcast in general at podcast@ObsessiveViewer.com. Check out the Obsessive Viewer blog at ObsessiveViewer.com, where we post movie and TV reviews and the occasional editorial about the business of entertainment. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer and follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer, at ObsessiveTiny, and at IamMikeWhite. If you want more obsessive content in your life, check out our sister site, ObsessiveBookNerd.com, for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the podcatcher of your choice. Again, thank you so much for listening. We love you. Be excellent to each other.